Ghosty fam, Amy here. Welcome to The Activity Continues, a podcast where three soul friends talk about all things paranormal. Ghosts, hauntings, psychics, movies and TV shows, especially The Dead Files, and other spooky and spooky adjacent things. We also like to interview people in the paranormal community, as well as past Dead Files clients and other interesting people. Sometimes we even tell your stories. I hope you enjoy the show. Hello. Thanks for joining us again. Tonight, we discussed the Dead Files episode called The Aftermath, and it originally aired July 12th, 2014. Takes place in Florida City, Florida. And the content stuff, what do you guys think? Is there anything you think we should bring up?
Nothing out of the ordinary.
No, we talked a lot about hurricanes and devastation from them. So if that's a sensitive subject for you, you might want to skip this one. But there wasn't really anything else.
A little swearing, a couple deep dives off the rails.
A little bit.
Which is odd for us. So I hope
we're usually so straightforward.
Yeah. Usually we're right on track.
Right on topic
only half
time.
On the track though. Like one side is on.
One foot.
Like there's one person on the track and like I'm, hanging off the caboose and AP's driving and Amy's looking out the window. So
Oh, and am I trying to whip some shitties then too? See if I can get anyone flying.
Sure. Yeah.
Why not? We do have a little bit of housekeeping. We got a lot of new followers recently.
Welcome, everybody.
So welcome to all the new people who are finding us.
Thank you for following us. Welcome to the party.
Yeah, we got a bunch
I'm
of...
sorry.
Oh, appreciate you, and sorry.
And we apologize.
I'm not apologizing. I don't know what we have to apologize for. We're pretty awesome.
We are pretty awesome.
It's true.
If you're here, you're here for a reason.
That's right. And we're happy that you're
our
here.
Fun banter.
We are happy. It's like Olive Garden's slogan. If you're here, you're family.
There you go. In the club.
In the club, we all fam. It's from the TikTok.
We had a surge in downloads recently. Also, subscribers to YouTube and the newsletter. Got a bunch of newsletter people. Yeah.
Nice.
Welcome.
And we want to welcome our new patron, Carol.
Hi, Carol.
Whoop, whoop.
And we got, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 new YouTube subscribers.
God.
Jessica, Miss Lady Tria, Joey LePan, Chuck Petrie, and Ryan Etherton.
I hope
welcome,
that
you guys.
Chuck Petrie, it makes me think of the guy from Land Before Time. Wasn't there a Petrie in Land Before Time?
Yes.
Was there?
Yeah.
I haven't watched
Ducky
that in a
and
very
Petrie.
long time.
And
He was the pterodactyl.
Mhm.
Okay.
Yes.
Mhm.
So, hi, Chuck.
One of the movies that scarred so many of us as children.
So many of us. Like, who fucking wrote that movie and are they okay?
Yeah.
Because that was a woofta.
Mhm.
If you're in therapy and you're a millennial, it's because of that movie.
Yeah, probably.
That's what started
and Land
it.
Before Time.
That is the same movie.
Not Land. Sorry. Never Ending Story is where I was going.
Oh my God.
for.
Never ending
see, I've
story.
never seen that.
Oh, it's very good. Oh, you should see it. Megan, you'd love it.
Atreyu.
I know there's something about a horse that dies. That's really disturbing.
You should watch it though. You'd like it. It's a good movie.
I probably would.
In the Swamp of Sadness or something like that.
Yeah.
Well, that seems fitting.
Yeah. We talked about this in our sideshow episode, but those episodes are now going to be for Patreon/patrons only. So if you're not one, you didn't hear this announcement, they are now going to be only for patrons. And so if you want to hear our banter and our goofiness, come on over to Patreon.
Come hang out with a couple of friends.
Exactly. Get in before the end of the year and you can get in on the $1 tier. Otherwise, that's going away at the end, like December 31st, January 1st, something like that. And this is our last main episode of 2024. So and we will be back probably the second week of January. That's when we started this year.
Yeah.
So I think that's what we're going to do. And season 6 is going to be a little bit different. Not too much, I don't think. We're probably going to stick along the same sort of stuff as we've been doing. Dead Files stuff, but also interviews with people.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe a random Hallmark episode every once in a while. But we might keep those 2 sideshows too. So
yeah.
But we'll see. And if you have any suggestions for episodes of the Dead Files you would like us to cover or anything else you would like us to do, a path you would like us to veer off on, please let us know. Reach out.
But also, this isn't OnlyFans.
Yeah, no, we're not going to do anything like that.
Just, you left it really broad. You left it really broad.
Above the chest only.
Someone needs to get their mind out of the gutter, AP.
Hey, you leave things. You just weren't on top of your game, Megan. Don't come at me for that.
Oh, I'm gonna come at you hard. Just kidding.
Good luck.
And for Minnesota, that's just not saying, "Oh, excuse me," when I go past her. It's just "excuse me," and then she knows. She's
it's not holding the door open for an extremely long period of time, waiting for you to come through it.
Yeah, it's opening the door and walking through, and then turning around and maintaining eye contact as the door closes.
And then you hear the click of the lock.
Yeah.
Yeah. Oh, did you want to come in?
I'm sorry.
I'm sorry. Did you want to come in here?
That's how Minnesotans fight. We don't say thank you.
You also call it casserole instead of hot dish. That'll get a Minnesotan going.
It's
not Megan though.
Thing.
It is the same thing.
It is.
It's just not the words.
I call them casserole.
Hot dish.
Oh,
green bean casserole.
What are you, Iowan?
Yeah. Wow.
Well,
wow.
She is from Albert Lee. That's pretty
Leah.
close.
It's pronounced Leah. Below the belt, AP. Just kidding.
I mean, you are a border.
It's fact, yeah. We're only 20 minutes from the Iowa border, so
that's right.
Anyway, so this is what you can get in.
So that's what this episode is. And we hope that you enjoy. And we're kind of punchy now because we just finished recording that.
It's also Monday and I want to just go lay on the couch.
I know. I'm going to do that now.
I gotta go take my bra off, so.
Okay, you do that. I'll send you the link of the bra I bought.
I said no OnlyFans.
She's not going to do it on camera. I mean, you can't.
You. Oh, yeah.
Let's get into the episode now.
Enjoy, everybody.
Enjoy the episode.
So welcome. Tonight we are discussing the Dead Files episode called The Aftermath. It originally aired July 12th, 2014, and takes place in Florida City, Florida. Here is the overview in case you're not sure which episode this is. This is the one that takes place in Florida City, Florida, which is an area that was hit hard by Hurricane Andrew back in 1992. The clients are Tracy and Travis and their children. They've been experiencing apparitions, touching, bruises, mood changes, hearing voices, and seeing shadows. Steve tries to do some digging in the community, but some people won't speak with him. But he does talk to a reporter, a professor, and a former cop. They give him some history on Hurricane Andrew, the former owners who scammed people by selling mosquito-infested swampland, and a police shootout that happened in 1916, leaving 3 policemen dead. Amy sees an elderly woman, senses some intense energy, and a poltergeist that someone in the house is feeding. She also sees a shadow figure that is messing with the man in the house. But the worst might be the many hurricane victims that are still stuck on this land and asking for help. Amy and Steve make connections on which each of them has learned, and Amy gives the family some recommendations, including one that's fairly uncommon. But do they do what she suggested? Stay tuned to see if the activity continues. All right. What do we got?
What do we got?
What do we got? The first thing I noticed is when Matt does the clearing, he says, since Amy can see 2 worlds, this one has to be free of any leading information, which I thought was a really cool way of explaining that. Like, they make it sound like in later ones, and especially when we talk to the clients, they've said, like, Amy is a little ADD, and if there's anything that would catch her attention, she'd be like, oh, look, and then not, stay in the moment. And I like that he said Amy can see 2 worlds.
I kind of wish he would have kept it going because I thought that was really, like you said, it's a really interesting way of saying it. And I wish they would have kept that going.
Well, and there are a few times even, and I don't know that we've caught up on an episode of this recently, but where she'll even describe like, I'm a dead medium, which means I see people in their death state. And she doesn't always, that's not always described, but then she starts describing people looking like, in this episode, we hear about people looking like zombies that are half eaten, and which is a great way to describe something. But it's, I don't know. There's definitely some different ways. And I was wondering, like, is it because it was an early season? Because
Yeah.
and they were trying to still get this together? Because this is in one of those that is in the seasons like 1 through 4 are all screwy based off of how they're labeled, because there were so many episodes in a few of those seasons, I think is what we found out. And then they cut them into making different
They cut
seasons.
one big long season into 3, I think, in the beginning.
And then, so like, Amy, you saw this as being season 4 or season 5.
Yeah.
And on Travel Channel On Demand, it's season 3, episode 14.
Really? Because in Discovery, it's season 4, episode 1.
Yeah.
Mhm.
I had it as season 4, episode 1. IMDb shows it as season 5, episode 2.
Mhm.
And Amy, you saw it as season 3, episode 14, which means
Yes.
it's at the end of season 3.
Yes.
So that would make sense why I would see it as season 4.
Except that there's
But I don't
18
know why-
episodes in season 3. So
Yeah.
I think I really should take a look at some of those other episodes that are in season 3 on demand and see which ones are aligned based off of, the chart that you have for us to
Mhm.
look at, and
Yeah.
see where those cut, because I think they just get mixed up into season 4.
Yeah. And
And they're
think
not in order necessarily.
Right. I was going to say, I think there might be some where they didn't even release them in the same order,
Mm-hmm.
which is bizarre.
But you
But
can
I know
tell
that-
that, this feels more like season 4 based off of her hairstyle.
Yes.
Amy's,
Because
yeah.
season 1
Very
and
pin-up.
2, seasons 1 and 2, she had that very dark, more shag,
Mhm.
Yeah.
long bob type one.
Yeah. Yep.
So,
Yeah.
which I also saw somebody, I think, complaining about her hair in something else. I'm like,
My
just
God, just let
let
it go.
Just let people do what they want with their hair. It's
What
fine.
does it matter?
It's not
God,
hurting you.
people always have to
Yep.
bitch about something.
Yep.
Most of the time, something that is none of their business.
Exactly.
Sex
Yeah.
lives, gender identity, sexual preference.
Not your fucking
Hairstyle.
business. Yeah.
Not getting answers in an episode, because I feel like there's a lot of questions left in this episode that we don't actually get answers to.
Yeah.
Like we just get told a previous owner for a lot of the explanation,
Yeah.
which doesn't satisfy me at all.
Uh-huh.
Like the
Or
next
the
one where
landlady.
where Amy starts
Yeah.
talking about like, oh, there must be somebody doing something dark and doing witchcraft. I just said, great, is Brittany here?
Yeah.
It's kitchen magic, first of all. Second of all, have you read her father's book?
Yeah.
Because if
Oh.
not, don't even talk to me.
I don't
Yeah,
think I could get through that.
I know we talked about this a little at the last episode, but I don't remember if I left it in for the final release. But we might actually go ahead and recap that Brittany episode, because we've had a couple people asking for it.
Mhm.
And the reason people ask for it is because that family was so kind of wackadoodle. And
Yeah.
I think that people, I mean, okay. So
You are
don't know.
so choosing your words right now.
I was trying, I know. Well,
I could see your Rolodex going like, which one to
should I
insert
say
here?
that? We were a little unkind when we first recapped that. And it was one time when we were all over at my house. We were sitting here, we were drinking champagne.
We had a lot
And
of, well, I
we let
had
it
enough
loose.
champagne to where I got a little loopy.
Yeah,
so.
we were all just like, what the fuck? And so luckily it didn't record very well.
Mhm.
So the sound quality is awful. And so we didn't release it. And it's a
Awful.
good thing that it
It
didn't.
is.
That
Yeah.
it didn't work, because
We were harsh.
it
We were
was
very
not,
harsh.
it wouldn't have been
It
nice
was
to
not
release
nice.
that anyway.
I felt bad afterwards.
I did
but it
too.
was
I felt
just-
really bad, especially listening to it again. I'm like, I don't think we can release this. That's
No, I mean, there's a lot of fairness to it, but it was like sitting around chatting with friends at the bar
Mhm.
talk,
Yeah.
and
Not-
which is
Yeah.
basically what it was, except the bar was my
Your house.
office.
yep.
And
Yeah.
so
And it will be like that in the future, but it will be more mindful.
yeah.
Mhm.
Okay. Anyway, moving on. So this one, I don't mean to compare the Brittany episode to this, because
Mhm.
it's not. We liked these clients
Yeah, we really did.
and we believed them, just to get that out of the way.
Mhm.
Anyway, so yes, witchcraft. And I was a little confused because I thought that Tracy and Travis were the homeowners.
Mhm.
I didn't get until halfway through that they were renting.
Yeah.
Because Steve was talking about the owner.
Mhm.
And I thought when Tracy was talking about the owner, I thought she was saying like when we moved in, we bought the house
Right.
from this lady and this is what she told us. It wasn't. That's their
Oh.
landlady
Yeah.
See,
who
I
was
got that right
saging the
away.
place.
Yeah,
no, I didn't
that's-
get that.
Yeah, and I was like, you didn't think that was a bit of a red flag?
Yeah.
Well,
Like,
see,
you didn't think to be like, cool. Why are you saging it for the like? Why are you
Yeah.
doing all of this? Because
Yeah.
to me, I would be like, cool. So what's the deal with that? Like,
well, and
Yeah.
see, and I followed with Amy that they had bought this house to move in because they talked about, wanting their kids to have their own rooms, which is
Mhm.
totally fair. And, all of that sort of stuff. And just, the landlord, when they said that, I just figured it was like, oh, that's somebody who had rented out that house because my brother bought a house that had been rented
Mhm.
out. So it was the family who owned it were the landlords of the house. So to me, it was just that same aspect. So
See, I caught it right away that they were renting, but
there was a
I-
lot of stuff that they didn't put out right away. Like even when Tracy is pointing at the picture,
Mhm.
she doesn't name her husband. She names her
Mm-mm.
son. She doesn't name her daughter, and then
She didn't name
names it-
anybody except the son Travis.
Yeah, and then
Travis Jr.
which then I got confused with when we go to meet client Travis. I'm like,
Yeah.
well, why are we meeting the kid right
He
now?
grew up fast.
Yeah.
He was like 9 in the last scene. Yeah. And the baby. She just calls him the baby.
The baby.
Daughter's just the daughter. We do find out
Mhm.
later her name is Rosario.
Mhm.
Mhm.
I don't remember what the baby's name was.
Did we ever find that out?
I never
Yeah,
found
it's
out.
the
Did we?
dad. Somebody says it at some point in time, but I don't remember.
Okay.
Oh, I could not get past. I've never in my life seen a person wearing a girl before.
Oh, really?
Yeah, I was like, oh my God,
Oh.
They both have it. Mom
yeah,
and Dad
Mhm.
both.
they both do. They were both, I felt so bad for her because you could tell like she had worked hard. Her and her husband had worked
Yeah.
hard to get their kids a room, like their own room.
Yeah.
And it
Mhm.
was just, they couldn't sleep in it.
Yeah. That
This
was really
one,
sad.
I texted Amy earlier today and I was
Yeah.
like, I really like this. Like, these are my favorite couple, I think, so far.
Yeah. They were cool.
They
cool.
were,
I liked them too.
you could just tell like they were
Yeah.
together. Like,
So
Okay.
anyway,
So yeah, we talked about how the owner, the landlord, had saged the house, and
was the landlord doing it wrong too?
yeah,
And then just
that's
pissing
what I
things
was
off and
thinking.
like,
She probably made it worse, not
yeah.
knowing what she was doing.
mm,
Because I don't know if we want to get into this yet, but like when Amy senses that somebody in the house was doing witchcraft and she thinks it's the current people that live there,
Mhm.
surely it's the landlord, right?
Not necessarily, because it could have been that there was somebody living there a week before they
before.
moved in.
Yeah. Okay.
And then, the landlord just had to do a little bit of cleaning and was saging stuff because they didn't. I got more of the feeling that it's potentially they were doing that because of the
people who lived
previous
there before.
people
Got it. Yep.
that they rented to.
Yep.
And then
I don't know.
maybe just didn't know what they were doing.
Yeah.
In the reveal, when Amy said that, I saw that Tracy kind of looked over at her husband real quick. So
Mm-hmm.
I was like, is that you? You have something to say to Amy?
Yeah.
That really like, and maybe it was edited that way.
I feel like there was a lot. I mean, obviously we know there was a lot cut out of the reveal,
There always
but
is.
there's one point in particular I'm like, ooh, something happened here.
Mhm.
Because Amy is leaning so far away from Steve. Like body language is saying something happened. And it might have been around that.
I just noticed that when in the reveal when she said that and her eyes darted quickly to her husband. I was like, there's something there. Like that's
it could just be, oh, I bet it's that crazy bitch who lived here before us.
Yeah,
it could just be that they know who she's talking about. It doesn't necessarily mean it's them.
Right.
Yep.
But so yeah, we have mood swings and mostly with Tracy. And she says she feels much better when she's not in the home. She's perfect and happy.
Which again, I mean, not saying that it's not paranormal, but like when you're at a home, you have 3 kids, you have a husband, you have a lot of responsibilities that you can forget about when you leave home.
Mhm.
Now, I'm not saying there's not something there, but I'm also saying
I had the exact same notes down. I
Yeah.
know we've brought it up before, but this always seems to be something that's like, well, we had a perfect marriage.
did
Really?
you? Because
I mean, I've been in friendships and long time family relationships, and
Mhm.
you fight and then you get
Mhm.
over it. And sometimes you just are like, I can't stand being in this house. And you slam the door and you leave and you drive around, get your ice
And-
cream, and you
and
come
if
back and you
you-
feel better.
and
Ooh,
if
ice
you do
cream
have a
sounds-
perfect marriage, then something's wrong because
Something's
no
weird. Yeah.
relationship is perfect.
Probably not communicating.
Yeah.
No.
If it's quote
And
unquote
Well, and
marriage
perfect.
is fucking hard.
Well,
Like
and-
it is hard.
Yeah. I put in here, and I know, like, again, going to the, not saying it's not paranormal, but
Right.
Mhm.
do we ever wonder if some people hope that it's something
Mm,
else affecting them so they don't have to admit that maybe
it's
the
over.
relationship has run
Yeah.
its course or
Mhm.
something is over? Not saying that that's this case here,
Right.
but how many times do we see people that are like, well, it all stemmed from this? Or it's like, is that where it stemmed from, or was that the last straw?
The
Yeah.
only explanation is it's
Yeah.
paranormal. That's
That's the
why I
only
got
one.
diabetes.
But that's
So-
God, that was another good one.
Anyway, so they are not sleeping is despite them, like we said, wanting to
Mhm.
get this house so the kids have their own rooms. They don't sleep in there because they're too scared. So they sleep with mom and dad, which is sad. I want to mention that Tracy explains how she saw her son lifted off the floor,
Mm-hmm.
like hanging by the back of his shirt.
Mm-hmm. Yep. Yeah. But we don't really hear anything about that from Amy
Ever
at
again.
all.
No.
I don't know who that would have been. And I got the impression Steve didn't really believe her.
Well, and
And-
she said there was when she was like, what? Steve was like, what happened? She says, my husband got off the bed and he fell completely. I'm like, did your husband trip getting out of the bed, or was it
Mhm.
the kid that fell? Like,
To me,
didn't-
the
I
kid
think she
fell.
said the kid fell because it
Yeah.
felt like he was dropped.
but that's not how she stated it.
Right.
Right.
You know, because she said he, she was there, and then Steve was like, well, what happened? My husband got off the bed and he fell completely. And it was like, I think she means the kid fell.
Mhm.
Mhm.
It was just poor wording.
That's what I
Yeah.
got. But yeah, she did word it strangely.
Also, I
But-
thought it was interesting that nobody else has really had that aggressive of an attack that we hear about.
Yeah.
Yeah,
So
just the,
again,
the
that
bruises and
but nobody's been attacked
picked up.
Yeah.
So to me, that was a little interesting.
And then the other thing I thought was interesting is when Tracy and Steve are talking and she gets touched right then
Mhm.
while they're talking. And he is like, so you're getting touched right now?
He rolled
And
his eyes.
he did. I felt again that he was not fine. But I mean, she seemed pretty sure that something was
Yeah.
touching her in the back of the head. And he
It
was
did
facing her,
seem-
so he couldn't see the back. He couldn't see like if her hair moved or anything. I don't know.
That I thought was genuine. Like to me.
Oh, I think she
mean,
felt that for sure.
yeah.
Yeah. And then she
That-
got weird after that, and she
did.
started to get
'cause she was freaked
agitated,
out.
and her mood was changing right
Mhm.
there. So
Mhm.
but it could just be her mood changing because weird things are happening, not that
Or
something is changing her mood.
paranoia.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Paranoia can cause a lot of that
Yeah.
change too. If you're standing somewhere and you're talking about something that happened, because she just talked about her son
Right.
being lifted by
Yeah.
the shirt by his neck, and then she's
Mhm.
flicking at her neck.
Mhm.
Mhm.
Is it just,
It's like when you see
Potentially-
videos of spiders and then you feel the spiders on you. Could
Yeah.
it be that same thing?
or
Yeah.
like for us, last weekend I pulled a tick off my hand. It was just
You-
walking, but then you'd get the creepy crawlies the
Yeah.
whole time, like something's happening.
How many more are there?
So not saying that there's not something that happens there, but does that play a factor into it when you're talking about it in the room it happens and
Yeah.
stuff like that, where you just start feeling like freaked out?
Yeah.
How many times have we all done the shake
Never.
or something, or when you're
Not me.
drifting off to sleep and you get that jolt and all of a
The
sudden
nap
you're like,
jerk?
I hate that.
I know.
Freaks me out.
Yeah, I get
Yep.
that once in a while too.
so all of that can add together and then cause
Mhm.
like getting that, being paranoid and starting to freak out a little bit and cause that mood change. So just being the, Greg of the group.
Oh boy, you
The
got a
big
lot to
title.
go to.
Yeah, that's a big. Those
Greg.
are big shoes to fill.
Yeah, let's see what else we got. Oh, back to the what makes you think this is paranormal. We
Mm-hmm.
both had some, or Amy and I anyway, both had some things. I don't know if Megan did too, but I said it's literally the only explanation.
Mm-hmm.
And then Amy, you had a point.
Oh yeah, I said it could not be anything else, but that's what people with affairs say too. And you know, maybe it's just gaslighting.
Yeah. I don't know. I didn't get that vibe from him. I don't know.
I
This is
didn't
all
get,
joking around.
Yeah,
With
no,
it
I didn't
because
get
do you
a
not
fair
see
vibe from him,
my
no.
eyes that are in there too? Going,
Your-
she did the eye
emoji. Yes, I did see that.
Let's see what else. They see shadow figures going down the hall. That was creepy.
Rosario it was like pulling teeth talking to her.
She
but,
was
like,
really nervous, I think,
was.
and
Mhm.
scared, like something might have been going on in the room with her, like it was with Tracy while Steve was talking to her. But
well, they
I
also
felt
said she
bad
doesn't
for
sleep
her.
at night.
yeah. Oh yeah,
doesn't
she sleeps
She
in the
said
daytime.
she said she has to put earphones in
Yeah.
And then
because
they
she
said
hears
that,
voices.
and at the end of the episode, they also basically said she sleeps during the day because she
Yeah.
can't sleep at night.
I
So
can't imagine. So does
Yeah.
she not go to school, or is this the middle of the summer, or I wonder?
no idea.
Because you
Well, it
can't,
did air in June, so
so it would have been recorded like
like
3 months before that,
yeah.
right?
So
Or
unless
yeah, who
maybe
knows?
unless she's homeschooled or
Okay.
Or she's just partial days. We had
Yeah.
some students that were at that
hmm
that were,
or
did
she's
what they
just
could.
sleeping in class.
Had a lot of those too.
I did that.
Yeah.
But, I am curious, and we didn't hear a lot about this either at the reveal, but I'm like, is it because they know she can hear them? And so then they just keep standing outside her window yelling and hoping that she'll help them, but
I think
she
so.
doesn't know what to do. And I put like, ooh, guess we'll see. No,
No, we
spoiler
don't.
alert, we don't learn anything.
No.
And
There was a lot of unanswered questions in this episode. I
Yeah.
felt like,
a lot of hanging air.
yeah,
Yeah.
like the poltergeist, and maybe I missed it in the reveal, but I feel like
They didn't say anything about where who the poltergeist might
No.
be or might be
No,
causing
they
it.
didn't.
that was like they were like, oh, there's poltergeist activity and somebody could be feeding it, but that's kind of where it ends. It's like, well, who
And
is it?
And it sounds like the poltergeist is likely what's responsible for the kid getting picked up and for
Mhm.
but
Yeah.
And other things we've seen and heard is that poltergeist often is associated with teens
Mhm.
or people who are coming into those teen years that are really uncertain and unsure about things. So is it possible that something was there and it disassociated from its original and now
Sure.
Rosario is playing into it?
Yeah, that very well could be.
But
yeah, I just felt like there were a lot of things that were unanswered, like that, and the zombie thing didn't really. I mean, they did, but they didn't. I don't know. It was
well,
just
they do, but they don't really connect it really well.
they
And
don't.
so I'm sure we'll talk about that a little bit because
Yeah. Okay, she's back on. Stop
Yep.
talking. about
Okay,
her.
sorry. I'm trying to get Vivi to stop barking. She's been barking for what, hour and a half?
Oh, fun. No, we were just talking wondering if the poltergeist is potentially, we've heard that poltergeist could be associated with teens in the past. And could it be that whoever lived there before started one and it stayed and it cut from them or disassociated from them? And now you've got Rosario that maybe has
feeding it.
abilities that is feeding it with her fear and,
Mhm.
not being able to sleep and that sort of stuff. Like,
Yeah.
if my logic brain goes into that way, even though it's not fully logical to think of the poltergeist and that sort of stuff. But
There's an oxymoron.
I mean, if you're going to go with that there is
Mhm.
a poltergeist, you're going to accept that, then, you can still try and figure out
Mhm.
why
But
it is there and who it might be.
and what's going on with it. So,
Yeah.
and then
Mhm.
we hear from Amy about all the voices and things are outside of the window, and she describes them as a bunch of zombies, which,
Yeah.
I mean, to me, I'm like, well, didn't The Walking Dead really take place in the South? There's more
Yes.
Georgia, but
Georgia,
yeah, but
Mhm.
that's,
Atlanta. Yeah.
so, I mean, it fits. It
Mhm.
fits.
Okay, so then we learn more about the hurricane.
Mhm.
Which, not to be confused with a
Which
cyclone
that
or
I
a
did not
tornado.
realize how bad that was.
Oh, yeah. It was bad. It was bad. And that was a trailer park.
Yeah,
The area where the houses
Mhm.
are now was a trailer park, and it was like floored. I
And
mean,
there's a
wiped.
lot of places too in those southern states. Like we watched Twisters over the weekend and
Mhm.
they're in Oklahoma and they keep running into buildings being like, "Do you have a basement?" Like a lot of those places don't have
Yeah.
basements.
Yeah.
And because the clay, it's clay. You don't
Mhm.
build structures into the clay. You build like points to hold things down, but you don't.
Mhm.
And yeah, in Everglades area too, I don't think there's a lot of, and
Well,
I
yeah, it's all
obviously
swamp.
could
I
be
mean,
wrong, but I don't
yeah.
think there's a ton of basemented areas,
Mhm.
not like what we see up here.
Yeah.
Right. Because we get a lot of twistas
Yeah.
up here.
But yeah, I like he showed me when not he showed me, but like the show when it showed all the I didn't
Mhm.
realize how bad. $26 billion they said it
Mhm.
cost.
Which, by the way, is in today's money is about a little over 58 billion.
God, that's
How much
amazing
was
that it's
Katrina?
jumped that high in this amount of time.
Do we
That's
know how much
inflation.
Katrina cost?
I don't have it down. I'm sure it's somewhere, but the fun fact, not fun fact, but the
Not
most
scary fact.
the costliest weather events the top 10 costliest weather events, most have happened in the last 10 years.
So
In
Katrina
the
was
United States.
$125 billion.
Yeah, and then if you
Hurricane
do,
Katrina is tied as the costliest hurricane to have ever hit the United States with
yeah, the one in
125.
Texas was pretty bad a couple years ago.
Oh, yeah.
What's the
19, I
one that
think.
Katrina is tied with?
Let me look.
Oh, you don't have to go digging. I assumed it
I
was
don't
in the
no,
article
it's
that you
not.
were reading when it
It's
said it was
not.
tied with something. I
Mm-mm.
thought it would say what it was tied with.
1,392 fatalities
Mhm.
for Katrina. Jeez, God.
Wow.
Yeah, there's a difference of the costliest and the deadliest of
Mhm.
Yeah.
storms.
Yeah.
And
So,
another interesting thing, which is kind of ironic too, storms with female names tend to have a higher death count
Really?
because people don't
interesting.
associate them with being deadly.
Bitches are mad.
Wow.
So yeah, if you look at the
Oh
history
my
of like
God, the
of
misogyny
storms,
is deep.
but if you look at the history of storms, that typically the female named storms tend to be more deadly,
Hmm.
even if they're not the biggest.
Hmm.
Hmm.
Maybe. Maybe the divine feminine has something to say about that.
Yeah, because you have Katrina, wasn't Louise one, Irma.
Megan, something weird just floated
I think it was a cat hair.
like that.
Yeah, I saw it too. I think it was cat hair.
Okay. It looked round, but
Oh, I thought I saw shape, but
okay. Anyway, so yes, well, let's see. Oh, how did they die? Amy thought that was a stupid question.
seriously, I mean, come on. I don't know. Like, can we?
They were hit by tree limbs. They drove their cars into high water. One man got crushed by his home.
Yep.
It reminds me of that Larry the Cable Guy bit where he's talking about his grandma died, and the one friend's like, "How'd she die?" And he goes, "She flipped her vet. Like she was 90 years old."
What do you think? How do you think she
Amy,
died?
how do you think they died? It was a hurricane.
Hmm.
And after you told me that the first time, I don't know if I think we talked about it on the show, and we laughed about that. And then right after that, the queen died. And so we were like, she flipped her vet. That's how
She
she
flipped
died.
her vet. Yeah.
Yep. Anyway,
Okay, so
let's
I'm
see.
looking at the deadly hurricane, top 15 deadliest hurricanes, and they're all women, except there's an Ian, and then
Ian and Harvey.
nope, no Harvey.
Harvey's what hit Texas a few years ago, 5 years ago, I think.
Galveston hurricane of August 1900 is the deadliest, number one.
1900.
1900.
Wow,
The
okay.
Galveston hurricane was the deadliest weather disaster in U.S. history, according to NOAA. The storm system formed over the Atlantic and traveled to the Gulf of Mexico while picking up strength and speed. It hit landfall in Texas, just south of Galveston. Its power tore across the Great Plains, then weakened as it traveled northeastward through the Great Lakes, New England, and southern Canada.
So it had so much power that it continued over the landmass for a long distance. Yep.
Yeah.
So
Anyways,
yes,
but
I thought it
all
was
of- most of them were female
Yeah.
names.
Yep. And yes, I did think that it was a stupid question from Steven. And yes, there are such things as stupid questions. It's kind of like when he asked the question about like, did anybody else die on this or
Yeah.
die here in this town? Yeah.
Nope.
Nope.
There
They're
are
all still
more.
alive.
Lestat's coming around the corner any minute now,
Oh.
so you can talk to him.
But I did like as Amy was describing them, and Amy, I know you put in here like eaten, like they were eaten.
Yeah, she said it looked like they'd been eaten. Their legs are missing and stuff, but she didn't know they were hurricane
Yep.
victims. She apparently
that-
didn't even know where they were.
Because being in their death states and torn and kind of
Yeah.
literally ripped to shreds, like I thought, well,
Ugh.
that is a great description for
I mean,
Yeah.
what she's seen because she's associating,
yeah.
you know, with, and probably this is also around the time Walking Dead was fairly popular.
It was because it was 2014.
Hmm.
Couldn't they have been just decomposed though? Like, couldn't they
No.
be appearing to her in their decomposed state?
It potentially, but then you have these victims who are most likely very, you're not in one piece if you're picked up by a storm
Yeah.
too often.
Yeah.
Yeah. Anyway, and then we find out that the current owner of Tracy's property did not want to talk with Steve.
Yep.
Neither
And
did
that's what
anybody
I was
that.
like, what? Wait,
Yeah.
they own
Or
it?
former tenants. Yeah.
Mhm.
Yes. And then I thought later about that, and I'm like, oh, wait, she was the one that was saging.
Mhm.
And then I thought, I wonder if something was like maybe there was some legal stuff in the works and they didn't want to talk to, they weren't allowed to talk to anybody.
Maybe.
Who knows?
Well,
like
I
the
would-
landlord could have been suing the former tenants for,
Mhm.
doing
But then would
witchcraft.
they have
Who
been-
knows?
Would they have allowed the filming to happen in the first place then?
That does seem weird. They would have
That's-
had to allow it.
That's what I got really confused. So they didn't want to talk to him, but I would assume that they would have had to have gotten permission
Yeah. I would think
to
so.
be there because even though it's where these people are living, they don't own the property.
Right. Yeah. I imagine, the person who owns the property has to be the one to give permission to film there. So, yeah. So Steve does talk to a professor who talks about, let's see.
The swindlers,
Yes,
as I
the
call them.
Tatums, the
Also, who names-
landowners.
I'm assuming this is a nickname, but Smiley.
Yeah, it's a nickname, I'm sure.
Smiley Tatum.
Smiley Tatum.
Also, in the picture,
Oh,
he's
they-
not really smiling. So
That was a fairly common nickname for people.
maybe
in
it's
those days,
ironic
too.
because he wasn't smiling.
Guy Smiley.
They're like,
Well,
oh, we'll
but
call
a
you
lot of those
Smiley.
tintype photos too, you had to sit for a long period of
Yeah.
time.
You couldn't smile in those.
No, because all of those, especially ones that had the old exposure, they weren't like the
guess
snap of
that's
your
tough.
phone or Jordan's camera there, Megan.
What?
What?
I
Are
thought
you
that's how
kidding
it's
me?
always been.
Yeah.
Now you're going to tell me people didn't have cameras that they carried in their pockets.
The next you're going to tell me is that TV wasn't always in color. What are you trying to say?
Don't believe a word
know.
she says, Megan.
That's lies.
The lies.
The lies.
Yeah, so these people they were selling land to people who were buying it up sight unseen. And I
Mhm.
I looked this up because when you're talking about a land or a property that is sight unseen, I was like, is it really sight, SIGHT, eyeball sight unseen, or is it the site has not been seen? The site of the
SITE.
property has not been seen, SITE.
Yeah.
But I looked it up. It is sight, SIGHT, unseen, which means it not necessarily always land, could be anything. You could buy this cup sight unseen. So it is SIGHT for those who were curious.
Mhm.
Yeah. Never buy a house sight unseen.
No,
Not good.
Oh,
probably not
there
a good
was
idea.
there were so many people when my
Oh,
brother
I know.
was
Yeah.
hunting for a house, and they were also waiving inspections and
Yep.
everything.
Yep.
Do not waive the
No,
inspection,
Don't
even if you
waive
lose out on the house.
inspection. Yep.
Here's the thing. I've
You-
seen on TikTok. Uh,
So it's true.
Are we at least 3 TikToks now?
At least.
everybody take a drink every time.
Yeah, we
either
should
Amy
know
or
the
I
God,
say
I'd be
that. You'd be
hammered.
dead. But yeah, these home inspectors are showing
Oh my
like
God,
these
those are so
flipped
good.
houses.
Mm-hmm.
It is so bad. Like it makes me never want to buy a house.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Oh, my sister and brother-in-law, even though they have a great place where they're at, but the guy who lived there before them must have fancied himself as some sort of handyman. And
That's the
he's
worst.
just, I mean, they're gonna have all their like wiring replaced
Yep.
and stuff
God,
because things
no.
weren't done right.
That's
And
what our last
there's
house was
just
like.
there's just like there's a spot where when the tornado came through and it took up part of the fascia off the side of the house, then you look at like the edging where it's the roof as it's just before it meets the rest of the roof. It's like random ass 2x4s and 2x6s.
Sure.
There's gaps there, which is why
Yeah.
they always had hornets coming in and out because they didn't know where they were coming from.
Right. So I saw a TikTok and the guy was talking about
drink.
It was like a voiceover and it's showing like horrible wiring. And it's this guy who's doing wiring for somebody. And she's like, oh, my grandson did the wiring for this house. And he goes, oh, I bet. And then he goes, how long ago does house burn down? And she goes, 2 years. Wait, how'd you know? And faulty. But like that's what it reminds me of is these flipped houses cutting all these corners.
Yep.
It's so bad.
Yep.
So the moral of the story is never waive an inspection because you will be fucked.
No.
Yeah.
Even if you lose the house.
And then you should have lost the house and you'll be glad that you did.
Yes.
Because you could have burned down inside of it.
Exactly.
Yes.
Before we move on to, I wanted to come back to those pictures really quick.
Yeah.
I think he might have been called Smiley because he's got a smirk in that picture though too. And you don't call somebody smirky.
You could. I'm going to start calling you Smirky now. Just to prove
but what I actually appreciated this time is that the Dr. George did not call Flora just a beautiful woman. So many times the women are just described as she was a pretty lady or she was beautiful.
Pretty lady.
But she was high society, but she was also very educated.
I did notice that he said that, which also for that time period is rare for a woman to be educated.
She grew up in a family with money.
Yeah. Well, there's that. Yeah.
Yeah. And they owned 4 mansions.
Amy, I like your note later on where Dr. George says she became a regular person.
Yeah. And I wrote, gasp.
Not
a regular person.
The worst kind of person to be.
Well, but how did she get there to begin with, everyone? Yeah,
They swindled.
This isn't the first story in Florida that we've heard of this.
No,
we had we had at least one other one where they were parceling off parts of the Everglades.
Yeah. Well, that's where the whole joke
was this one.
No.
Yeah. That's where the whole joke comes from, where you say if someone's gullible, you say, hey, I've got some swampland in Florida for you.
Yeah.
I mean, that's where I got referring to all of
this.
No, I've heard the oceanfront property in Arizona. That's a song. But yeah, this isn't the first one because we had the one where they were going to build like the townhouse condos or something of that nature. But yeah,
it was the same thing.
But it was the same thing. It was around the same time frame. It was because it's warmer. You're getting the people out of Detroit or Michigan or up north
or
to
Minnesota.
Get into Well, in both cases, I think they stayed in Michigan, or it might have been Michigan and New York or something like that.
I live in Minnesota.
I know.
And I don't like the winter.
But it's
better
just
than
kind
the
of
summer.
Yeah. And
no.
The description of it, that's our hunting land in the summertime. Hot, swampy,
full of mosquitoes.
Not necessarily flooded.
My drag
but
name. Hot, swampy, and full of mosquitoes. Takes the stage.
I bet you're very, very popular.
Okay, Shrek.
People smack me a lot because you
got it.
Mosquitoes. Did you get it?
But Amy's description of her having to become a regular person, it's like in Ghosts.
Yeah.
The rich woman who has to become like
Hattie or
Hattie. Yeah. I just imagine her having to become a person without
regular
means.
person.
Yeah.
Uh-huh.
The worst kind.
When she always jokes she doesn't joke in the show. She's constantly like, well, we just threw cocaine around everywhere. It was great.
I do like that show.
I need to watch that show because I feel like I'd like it, but
you would.
Both the American and the British are good.
Yeah.
I I started with the American and Amy
I
started with the British.
yeah.
So, but they're both very good.
I'm watching the American one now. The British one I'm done with. They
I'm
didn't go as
watching-
long.
Face Off, and I can only watch one show at a time because I'm
Oh.
weird. So once Face Off is done, then I will probably move on to that. But they're just so talented in that show. It just makes me so sad.
Yes.
In Face Off, you're talking about, not in
Yes.
Ghosts. Okay.
They probably could have
No.
made what these zombies look like outside of the window.
Yeah,
They
I
probably
bet.
could have done that in like 3 hours. Okay, maybe a little longer, but it's just
Need a
I
little
love
longer
it.
for the silicone molds to dry.
I just think it's the coolest show, and I'm so sad that it's
Well,
canceled.
I'm glad I
Anyway.
introduced you to it.
I appreciate it. They're just so fun. Anyways, not
Anyway.
And
I
now
know
back
we-
to attachments.
back to attachments.
Yes.
Oh, that could be a name of our episode. Back to
Back to
attachments.
attachments. I'll
Write
write
that
that down.
Jinx.
If I jinx you both, does that mean you're quiet until I say
Oh,
your names?
no.
Well, I mean, we do talk too much, so it might be better
Yeah. I mean, on our talk show.
on our talk show.
Anyway,
you
now we
know.
learn about a police shootout. We talked to Police Chief Rowley.
Rolly?
R-O-L-L-E. I didn't hear Steve say his name ever.
They see
He
me
never did.
rolling. They hate
And
me.
yes, this was
Rolling.
in 1916.
1916.
It
The
wasn't
Rice
brutal.
Gang.
The Rice Gang
Oh my god!
did a bank robbery
For like the least
in
the
a town
least-
nearby.
What's the word I'm looking for? Intimidating name.
Intimidating. Yeah.
The Rice Gang.
The Rice Gang. I'm
Well,
sure one
it
of
was
the names.
probably somebody's last name.
Their names were
Because
right.
that's
know,
what most
but-
of them started with.
I know, but that doesn't make it more intimidating.
Was
No.
Bonnie and Clyde intimidating? Those names?
The names aren't, but now they are.
Now
Probably.
they are, but not the Rice Gang.
Yeah.
I'm the Rice Gang. Watch out! I'll throw my stuff at you at weddings.
No, don't do that. It kills birds.
I know.
Yeah. Let's see. Okay, so yeah, there's three policemen
These
were
crooks.
killed. Two of them were brothers.
hmm
I don't know if we have to really go into that. Amy didn't really connect it that much.
No,
Mm-mm.
I did not. This was another like loose end. Like
Yeah.
there's nothing that's really talked about.
Well, but what's funny about this one is when we do get to this. Oh, yeah. The guy's name was Frank Rice. That's why it's called the Rice Gang. He's the
yeah,
leader.
okay.
So we have the 3 cops that were killed, 2 of them brothers, 2
Mhm.
died on scene. They're like, well, one of them was just shot in the leg. Well, yeah, it probably hit the femoral artery.
Yeah, that'll
Like-
bleed bad.
Yep.
And also it's 1916, so like medicine and doctor
right,
care
but
is not great.
but dying on scene from a leg wound was kind of what they're like. Well, he
Oh,
was dead at
yeah.
the scene. So
Yeah.
this one was just really interesting. And then when Steve talks about it at the reveal, he's like, "Well, I think you're connecting to this, basically." And she's like, "No,
She's like, no.
No,
no."
no.
So
I know,
I
I love
think
that.
not much
Right
to
around-
go on, but it's this. And she goes, no, that's fucking wrong, you
Yeah.
fucking idiot.
He didn't
Try
actually
again.
say that this time around, but yeah.
No,
No, we didn't.
I did notice that. And I was like, Amy, I love it when you do this. I
do.
love it.
I do too.
But they do jump this way when she's channeling in the show. They talk about somebody captured and a prisoner, but now it's like there's a dude possessing the living guy. I was like, when did we talk about the living guy being possessed?
We didn't.
Yeah, I don't think it's Travis because he
No,
doesn't
I
have
don't
those
think it is.
experiences.
Yeah, because
He
Maybe
never
it was the
talked
people
about
that
that.
lived there before. Do we
maybe
know
because
how long Travis and Tracy lived there? Did
A
they
year.
just move in?
A year.
Okay.
Yep. So Amy says, we're back with Amy and she sees, everybody sees this guy and she's like, he's the dude possessing the other guy, the living one. And the spirit feels like he's been trapped. And so he's going to trap others with him.
Mm-hmm.
But they tie it in like it's supposed to be one of the sheriffs or one of the bad guys that
Mhm.
was in this shootout. But
No.
Amy's like,
There was-
no.
She says that's not them.
Mhm.
There was a lot that she brought up. I feel like that was not ever touched on again, at least that we saw. That doesn't
Yeah.
mean they didn't talk about it in the reveal. But
Yeah.
the cops, this possessing dude, the only potential tie that I get with Travis was when she's in the reveal, when she's talking about, this person would feel neck pain.
Mhm.
That's the only thing that ties.
And Travis
him.
says, my neck hurts right now.
Yeah, my neck
Mhm.
hurt now. And
Well,
Yeah.
so does mine, but
I
from
just,
carrying the
funny.
weight of this podcast on my shoulders.
obviously.
kidding. I'm just kidding.
Thank you for your service, Megan.
I had to say it. I had to say it. It was right there. I'm
It was
just kidding.
right there,
No, I'm totally
right
kidding.
for the picket. Oh,
Right for the picket. I just plucked it.
plucked
No,
it
I
right
don't
up.
mean that. This is if
No,
anybody does
no,
it's
Amy, Amy does the weight of this, and especially as we look at, I'm sorry, these AI pictures that you
Oh
have
my
drawn
God.
up here, they're all naked.
You guys, I'll
I
put these
thought
on the socials, but yeah, I put in
You're gonna have to do some cover up because there's a lot of
Yeah.
dicks.
there's
That one is so
pics.
long. Look at the one on the left. Why is it that long?
I know.
What
The
is
second- the last one?
happening? It's the one at the top left. Unless
Oh,
that's a piece of cloth.
No, it's
Oh yeah.
That is
Because I was looking
long.
at the one on the bottom right below her elbow. There's a big one there. Yeah.
I zoomed in on a couple of them because I was like,
oh.
are they naked? Why are they all naked?
Man. But
because zombies can't be bothered with clothes.
I was gonna see if I could get to the
I like
The
the
site.
second one with the one looking in that like has his hands on his head like that.
well, it's funny
Well,
because
those ones are clothed. Those ones have
why
clothes on.
is she sitting? She's wearing a very seductive outfit. Like
I know in yeah, not in the first one, but yeah.
no,
and
not in the
what
first
I-
one.
what I put in is a woman is sitting on the bed with a window behind her. They got that wrong.
That's
Through
wrong.
the window, we see a group of dead people gathered, peering into the window at the woman. They got that. They are dripping wet. Their clothes are all in tatters, and they have their hands on their heads, on their ears. Because that's the way Amy described it, right?
Mhm.
Yeah.
Why did they put her with her hand on her head in
I
two
don't know,
of the
but
three pictures?
I like
She's
the
got her
one-
hands on her head.
I like the one with the zombie who's going.
I know. What's
Okay,
that word?
When I
Yeah.
zoom in a little bit, they are wearing like linen cloths over everything, but it's skin tight, or maybe it's just their skin becomes linen cloths kind
Ew,
of thing. Because
gross.
there's
Gross.
no differentiation. If you
No.
look at the coloration, like especially in that first one, you see the guy like reaching forward, but then it looks like he's wearing a dress or
See,
something.
I thought that was his long schlong.
No, that's the one to the left.
Yeah, the left.
Yeah, but I'm talking about the one next to that guy.
Oh, I
the one
see.
who's holding onto
Oh,
the
Yes,
window.
Yes.
I'm pulling up my account right now. I want to see if I can share my screen and show.
Mm.
Okay.
Oh, there
So-
we go.
Can you see?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so this is one of the pictures. These guys are
Yes.
wearing pants.
Yes.
Kind of. But yeah,
Yeah,
that's
they're not wearing tops, but they are wearing something on their lower regions. These look like they might be wearing something. These are mostly skeleton-y.
Yes,
the,
they
And
are.
one of
the
them,
that's
this
the
one's
one.
coming right in through the window.
Yep, the one that's to the left there, where there's no bottom part of the window.
Right
I
here?
didn't notice. Yeah, it's like they're wearing a crop top
Yes,
Yeah.
with
it is.
cleavage.
Yep.
Yeah.
And
Well, this
is that
hair-
supposed to be long hair in the background too? Or is that
Where?
supposed right
here?
under the armpits?
No,
I
I
think
think
that's part of the
that's
dress.
part of the shirt.
Part of the shirt.
Or
Oh,
whatever
okay.
that is.
Yeah,
Okay.
I think that's part of the shirt. And then this is the other one. Yeah, there's the
There's
I mean,
a
they're
long
wearing
schlong.
like clothy. No, actually, I don't think that's a schlong. I think that's
I think it's a tie,
it's a part of it's a tie.
but
Oh yeah.
it's like
okay.
their skin became the clothing in
Yeah.
this one though.
Yeah.
But
Well, you know what? AI is not going to take over
no.
anytime real soon. At least not this program.
All right,
So-
back to our regular scheduled program.
Yeah.
The
was fun.
reveal. Hey,
Yes,
everybody
we're on
get
the
your
reveal.
bingo card out for the reveal
Oh,
because we
yeah.
have a dun 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 marriage on the brink of divorce.
No way.
What?
Yep.
That never happens.
They are still married,
They are.
Yes.
at least according to her Facebook.
Facebook
profile.
page.
Yep. Yes.
Let's see. Oh, in one part where Amy says, I don't know if it was you guys or someone who lived here before, she looks at them like she's waiting for them to confess something, but then she says it's not them,
Mhm.
which I thought was a weird cut. And I felt like it was edited weirdly.
I
Mhm.
Which
I
wouldn't be
have
the first time.
I guess I felt there was a little bit of a pregnant pause, like to kind of see like
To see if
Are
they
you-
Are
fess
you
up.
gonna fess up?
so
Mhm.
yeah,
Yeah.
because I think she was still debating, but she was
Mhm.
reading their energy between them or something just to be like, because she obviously is having trouble in this episode differentiating
Yeah.
what the hell's going on with the living. So,
I mean, same.
I will say I also liked Amy's description of a poltergeist in this one. She explained what they are a little bit again, and it was a description I've never heard her say before.
It was very nice. Yeah.
And you want to read it, Amy?
Yeah, I'll read it. She said, a poltergeist is created by a living agent by the electrical charges that they send out into the air. It's just a mass of energy. But I thought that was interesting. And it's just a mass of energy. Like it's not somebody who was alive at one point.
Right.
But it can take on its own form.
It can, yes, it can become its own entity.
Yeah, what we talked about earlier is like, okay, if somebody maybe was created by somebody else and it disassociated or left them and stayed. And I think it says emotional issues can beat it, but I think it's emotional issues can eat it.
Yeah.
Feed it.
Yeah.
Feed it. So it can, the poltergeist gets fed by emotional.
Poltergeist.
But I will say, I don't know if they just kept shooting the same or providing the same angle, but Travis had the same look throughout the entire
when
reveal.
I read that, I laughed out loud. he kind of did.
You know, and I know there's a lot of information flying around here, but there's just this constant like look of mass confusion.
He probably was pretty overwhelmed.
Yeah. Oh, I'm sure.
Yeah. That's a lot. That's a lot to get in one night.
They showed the bruises that Tracy had. They did look like fingerprints to me.
They look like my dog stepping on my legs.
Yeah, it could have been.
Why you gotta be like that, Greg?
Hey, someone's gotta,
Someone's gotta
drive this bus, or I'll drive it right off the cliff to the ghosts. I'm just saying. They look like fingerprints.
Yeah, well, that dogs have fingers. Basically, they're called toe pads.
Toe pads.
And let me tell you,
they're called toe beans.
Well, I thought that was more cats.
I call mine toe beans.
But their feet do smell like Fritos.
Fritos, yes, they do.
Ugh.
Oh, it's wonderful.
Their sweat. I love it.
Gross.
Vivi needs a bath right now and she smells like Fritos. And I'm like, I want some sour cream to dip those toes in.
Okay. All right.
It's better than what they smell like other times.
That's fair.
Mm-hmm.
Moving on.
Do we need to go into, there was a moment where it talks about how she saw this woman in 4 houses and Steve does like a, holy shit, like she got it. She nailed it. Because up to now, we did not know that the Tatums had 4 mansions. We just knew about the one. But then he whips out 4 pictures, which it probably did happen. They just cut it. And so
we knew about it.
We didn't know about 4 mansions, did we?
Yeah,
I just think we heard about one.
No, when Steve was talking to, I think it was the professor, he was telling him they had 4 houses.
Really?
Yeah. I'm pretty sure.
I can go back up and look, but I wasn't aware. I don't remember seeing these pictures until the reveal. But yeah, anyway, Amy knew, and she obviously didn't see this. Unless you ask Greg, then he thinks that she's been in cahoots the whole episode.
Gregory, just stop it.
I don't think they didn't ever say 4, but they did say they lived in more settled areas of Miami and beautiful homes. You can get a sense of the wealth they had. And Steve says these are like small mansions.
So they probably did show the pictures back then.
They showed, they showed one.
But I mean, Steve probably saw the 4 pictures. They just cut and didn't show them to us until the reveal.
Then I was just making shit up.
Yep.
Nope, for real.
It's all right.
Okay.
And that's our show. Thanks, everybody. Megan's confused, and that's just the way it is.
And she saw a TikTok. And,
don't buy your house without an inspection.
That's right. That's the important thing. That's what you should be taking home from all of this.
Yes.
I noted that when Amy is in the reveal and she's talking about, when she says, I think the living couple that was brought into dark magic brought him here. I didn't write out how she said that, but her accent got super weird in that
changed.
part.
Yep.
Like
and
she
it changed
was pronouncing
through
words all weirdly. And I was wondering if she was like channeling a little bit right in that
She might have
moment.
been. Yeah.
Like hearing
Mhm.
the voice and saying it the way the voice sounded in her ear.
There
Or
was
I
a
wonder,
couple of times where her accent got really interesting in
wonder,
this episode.
Yeah, it did.
I'm curious because we've heard this kind of accent from her before,
Mhm.
like this
Mhm.
type. Could it potentially be one of her guides that's
It could
also
be.
talking
It
to
could
her?
be.
And
Yeah.
like
Sure.
how if you move away from the Midwest, you start to lose a little bit of that bit. But if you talk
Yeah.
to somebody, all of a sudden it comes back real
Yeah.
strong, like Fargo or Drop Dead
Yeah.
Gorgeous. So, maybe it's somebody that's one of her guides who's helping protect her during these
hmm
sessions that starts talking.
Yeah, it very well could be.
Just because
What I-
it's this very similar accent that
Yeah.
we've heard
Yeah,
before.
and it's not from anywhere I know of that she's lived. I
Mm-mm.
mean, she grew up in Denver.
Yeah.
They sound like us pretty much.
When I lived in the Middle East, my friend would make fun of me because every time I would call my mom,
Mhm.
like my
Mom.
Your mom.
mom.
Your mom
it
at
got
home?
it got strong. It got
Yeah.
real strong.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, mom. I miss you. Oh, for
Mhm,
cute.
mhm.
No. Oh, that's great. Yeah. So every time she would make fun of me for it
Yeah,
in a lighthearted way, but
of course.
it was still there.
Well, then we see this sketch. This was a
Mhm.
cool sketch, I thought.
This is the time frame that she's pulling away from Steve.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah, that was supposed to be Rosario in the bed. I didn't feel like it looked like her, but
I didn't think it looked like her either, but I mean,
No,
know.
but Amy did say that because Travis is like, is that supposed to be Rosario? And she's like, well, it's a teenage girl with black hair.
mhm.
mhm.
So I think there was more focus on the action and
Yeah.
the creatures outside.
Yes, and
Yeah.
that's fair too.
So I had alluded to there being something that we don't see very often here. We have seen this before, but not very often. Amy suggests that they get a curandera is how she pronounced it.
Mhm.
It's
A
spelled
curandero?
curandero. That's how it's spelled, but she said curandera. And I Googled this, and it is a traditional healer or shaman who uses herbs, amulets, and religion to treat patients. The word curandera comes from the Spanish word curar, which means to heal. And they are primarily found in Latin America, but can also be found in the United States. They practice curanderismo.
Nailed it.
Sorry if I'm saying that wrong. Obviously, I'm saying that wrong. I
Ob-
apologize for saying that wrong.
yeah, not sorry if
Not
I'm saying
sorry
it
if
wrong.
I'm saying that. I know that it's wrong.
You are saying
I
it wrong.
just don't know how to do it correctly. A holistic approach to healing the mind, body, and spirit that dates back to Aztecan, Mayan, and Incan tribes. Some Latinos, Chicanos, and indigenous peoples from Latin America trust curanderos more than therapists.
Interesting. Yeah, I don't know if she's ever said that
Mm-mm.
since.
Well, I know I've heard that term before, so I had to have heard it from the Dead Files. I wouldn't have heard it anywhere else, I'm sure.
Mhm.
So I think it's come out before. I don't remember. I can do a little search in our
But have you watched this episode before?
yes,
'Cause
I'm sure
that
I have because I've seen all of them, but
could be where you remember it from.
I thought
but
we talked about it before though.
we probably did. That doesn't
I'm going to
mean
look it
no.
up because I'm pretty sure we did, and I'll find whatever episode it was on before because I'm pretty sure that we. Hi friends, Amy here. I did a search on our past episodes and we did have a curandero mentioned in our episode 115 called They Come from the Stars. This is the one where the father and son were being abducted by aliens. The Dead Files episode is called Evil Transcends, and it's season 9, episode 8, or thereabouts, depending on which platform you watch. She does say that they're going to have to also clear the home of all the residual and current emotional muck.
Kind
And
of what we're all feeling right now.
I liked the phrase current emotional muck.
That's a good
Yeah.
title.
We are feeling like that a little bit.
I'm fine.
We're all fine.
We're great.
We're great.
Have some
It's
mac
gonna
and
be
cheese.
Great.
Just not me and my husband.
I don't think. Oh yeah, there was some sweet moments between Travis and Tracy.
Yeah.
When,
This is what
like,
got me when
yeah, and he
she
like,
was
"Are you
crying and
okay?"
he's like, "Are you okay?" And she's
Yeah.
like, "Yeah."
Yeah.
That was
And then he said that they almost split up, but at the end of the day, she's still my wife.
Mhm.
Yeah, it was sweet. And then they say they're going to take Amy's advice And it ends with Tracy and Travis are searching for a curandero willing to help. The activity continues.
Willing to help? That's an odd phrasing to that.
Mhm.
Well, it could just be that it could be a very bad case and it takes a seasoned curandero to
Yep.
help, and the ones that they've reached out to are not seasoned.
Yeah.
Yeah.
a
It's just
thought.
really interesting how it ties into the rest of this, that they weren't willing to talk to Steve. The
Yeah.
landlord wasn't willing to talk. The former tenants weren't willing to talk. There was a lot of things that weren't, it just kind of all went the same direction.
It would be not easy. It would be interesting to talk to them and find out
Mhm.
what they did and what happened and if they're still in the house or.
Yeah. I liked this episode. I thought it was really,
Yeah.
really good. It was
Mhm.
interesting. I don't remember, doesn't mean it didn't happen because I don't have the best memory. But I
You
don't
don't?
remember. I know I might have mentioned it, I forget. But I don't remember seeing anybody like interacting with something the way Tracy did before.
Oh, where it happened right when
Yeah,
it
I don't
when it hit her.
remember
Yeah.
seeing that.
Yeah, we've had a few of those.
Well,
Have we?
that just doesn't mean that I
Yeah.
remember them.
Well, even like, remember the little girl that was being held by her mom and looking into the,
Oh yeah.
and
Oh,
we know that
yeah.
the camera person was over there, but
Yeah.
you could just tell that there was something.
Something was going on.
Mhm.
Yeah.
We've
Yeah.
had a
I
few.
I meant physically interacting.
Yeah, but we've
with
had a
them.
few of those.
Okay.
Yeah.
I thought it was good. I liked this episode.
Yep.
I thought, I really, really hope that they got what they needed for the kids.
Yeah, I do too.
Because if you work that hard to get your children their own rooms,
Yeah.
you want them to be able to sleep in it,
Right.
Mhm.
And that's really sad that they couldn't.
Yeah. Yeah.
Well, especially, I mean, you think about, those are very significant age differences
Mm-hmm.
for somebody to be sharing a room. Like, it's one thing,
Mhm.
like my sister and I shared a room until we were in high school, or I went to high school and she was still in middle school, but we're 17 months apart,
Yeah.
not a 13-year-old girl and an 8-year-old boy, or an
Yeah.
8-year-old and a 2-year-old.
Yeah. Yeah.
I don't
Could be.
know. I really do hope that they were able to
Mhm.
get some
Yeah.
help though, because they seem like a very sweet family.
Yeah, they do.
Yeah.
And judging by her Facebook page, they have another baby now.
Do they?
Fairly
I didn't-
recent. Yeah. Like Christmas time.
Oh,
Oh,
didn't
so it'd be
know.
about a year old now, I guess, but I think it was last year. Okay,
This-
should we wrap this one up?
Yeah. Thanks everyone for joining us. We hope you have a lovely Christmas, Hanukkah, Kwanzaa, winter solstice, or whatever holiday you choose to celebrate. If you don't celebrate any holidays at the end of the year, we hope you can enjoy some time for yourself.
And this is our last episode of 2024, unless you are a member or of patron, which why aren't you? In which case, next week we will be releasing a sideshow episode number 18 for our patrons that we haven't recorded yet. So enjoy your break if you get one, and we'll see you next season. Thanks, everybody.
Thank you. Thank you for listening to the Activity Continues podcast. We really appreciate you giving us your ears for a bit. Please feel free to drop us a note and say hi. And join us next time when the activity continues.
Nailed it.